So in the previous program, we saw an example of how a Java program is being written. Now you have a statement or an opening statement where the class is being declared, and that would be given like public class, the program name. Now this program name, as I had mentioned before, this Java tends to be case sensitive depending on compiler to compiler. So anyways, it would be good if you can define a program with the class name starting with a capital letter. It can be any name as long as you're going to save that file. Some operating right now we are doing this in an online compiler, but when you do it on a system, probably the procedure is as follows: you type this program in your notepad, then from the notepad you save it as .java file, and this .java file normally in my initial sessions what we used to do was we used to compile it using the command prompt, and with that command prompt a .class file would be created, and that .class file would have been run for executing this program. But here we are going to do it using online compilers, so you don't have such tedious procedures. So please focus on understanding how the program is written. So as I said before, you begin with a class declaration. You write down the class name over here in this set of line, and then you have this public static void main. This format is applicable for all the programs, so you have to learn this public static void main. This defines a main function and its properties, that it is public, it is static, and it is void. Inside that you have arguments that can be passed. So this, under this square bracket, you will be passing the arguments if there are any, but you will be having arguments which will be stored under the title and label args, which is our data type string. And then you have the statement system.out.println hello world. So that basically what happens is it's a statement for displaying or giving out a statement which comes under the package called system. So we'll be looking into packages at a later point of time, but please understand the fact that you're trying to access a method or a function of this package called system, which will be called println. So using this function, you're displaying this text hello world. More of it will be displayed in the or explained in the later sessions. So this is the first program that we looked into. I actually ran this program and showed it to you in the previous video, so you can have a look at it at a comfortable time. Now, what is this public static void main string args? So basically what happens here is your public basically refers to the access specifier for the main function, making it unprotected and accessible for all other classes. This is specifically about what was the access specifier that we had learned in C++, like public, private, and protected. So usually the main function is declared as public. What is the use of the keyword static? Now, the static keyword is basically used to declare the method that it does not belong, it belongs to the class and not to the objects. So if you remember in C++, we had we learned the concept of a static variable. In case of a static variable, what was the case? We had a set of variables like an indent count. I believe it was indent count. No, sorry, num and count. If you remember that set of programs that we did in C++, one of the variables was declared as static, which means all of it would be shared by this different objects. That means a copy, instead of creating variables for all the objects, only one copy of the variable will be retained for all the objects. So that was a case of static definition in C++, but here this function is declared as static just to indicate that this is belonging to the class and not to the objects. Now this main function is being called here without the use of an object. So if you remember, usually the objects are used for accessing the variables as well as functions, but here this main function is not called by objects. It is made to run on its own, and that is why your method here it is declared as static, meaning that it is not belonging to the objects but rather to the class. Now you have the void defining the return type, and here as usual the void keyword, it represents nothing is being returned, so the same is applicable here. The parameters to the method main is called is declared as strings called args, which can be an array also, and println would be appending a new character to the end of the string, and it will be displaying the string also. That is the function of the println statement. So as mentioned before, we are using a concept of packages over here, and package would be collection of functions or methods that would be used for a certain set of programs. And here system is a final class defined in the java.lang package. So here we have a concept called package. So this particular package is called java.lang, and system is a class that is defining certain aspects of functioning within this package. Out is an instant of print stream type, which is public and static member of the field of the system class. Now, based on that, we can refer it to as a standard output stream, whereby we can uh, display certain the arguments that are put in the in quotes to the display unit. And println will be another function that will be used to display the text. This is an upgraded version of print. It prints any arguments passed to it and adds a new line to the output. So this is a concept regarding system.out.println. So a similar program can be looked into here also. So you have a program over here to display a string called Java is better than C++. So as you look over here, you can see that you have a class called sample1, and you have this main function over here, and you have the system.out.println Java is better than C++. So I copy this program and let's see what happens. So we are going to run that particular program over here, and this program is being created and it is trying to be executed. No public class is found to execute, which means something is wrong. And yes, the spelling has been missing over here, so we write it as class and sample1, and we execute, and we can see that it is displayed. Yes, so we have corrected that particular code and we have executed it, and you can see that it's displayed Java is better than C++. Now regarding case sensitivity that I mentioned before, I make a small edit over here. The system, if you remember, system is a package being used which defines a set of class, and that class is being accessed over here. So system, I'm replacing it with small. Now itself you can see that there is a small difference in the color combination of this keyword, and when I try executing it, it shows that the package system does not exist. This system starting with small s does not exist, so we have to write it as capital S. It's when we try to execute it, it works perfectly. Now again, with respect to the online GDB compiler, I'll try running this again, and you can see that when I try it's in Java, again I try running it, and when I try running it, it says that class sample1 is public, should be declared in a file named sample1.java. So what I believe is happening, it is this particular compiler should is always saving before for compiling or executing this file. This compiler, it should save the file under the name main. Now it doesn't file or see a class with the main keyword. That is why this error is coming in, and I have to always replace this class name with main and try running it again, and you can see that now the output comes Java is better than C++. Now I try to make it small letter, again try to run it. It does not work. So I hope that point is clear. We'll move back to the PPT. Okay, now another program I will just brief over here. This is regarding palindrome checking. We're going to check if a number is palindrome or not. So my basic concept is, if you have the logic of how to check or how to respond to a question that is given to you, you should be able to write the program in C++ as well as Java. Now the logic applied in C++ can be directly imported to the Java and applied also, except for the syntax and various other things that have to be taken care. So here let us check if a number is palindrome or not. So what would be the typical logic of checking if a number is palindrome or not? Even if it was a C++ program, we would have to apply this. So suppose if we are having 459 as the number, to check if it's a palindrome, or let's say if it is 454, and we isolate the digits and we sum it up in its places, again the number we get should be 454. So this concept, if it was 459, upon reversal it would have become 954. That means eventually if you check the final two numbers, if they are not equal, we can declare it as not palindrome, and if they are equal, we can declare it as palindrome. So anyways, let's look into the program. So we have a variable r over here. Some variable is created which is initialized to 0, and a temp variable is also created. We are having a variable n over here which is 454, and this is the number to be checked if it is palindrome or not. Now we are creating a temporary variable temp. We have already created it. Now temp will be stored with the value n. Now if n is greater than 0, what we do is we get the remainder. So r will be equal to n percentage 10. So 454 by 10 would give you 4. Now what is happening? We are actually doing this step over here, sum equal to sum into 10 plus r, which means sum initially is 0. So sum initially is 0, so this would be 0 itself. 0 into 10 is 0 plus r. What is r? 4. So that would be the number over here. So sum will be stored with the value 4 over here. Now this n will be divided by 10. So 454 by 10 will be giving you 45. Now that this loop continues till n is equal to or less than 0. So here 45 is again greater than 0. So this step continues. Again we do the remainder. We get it as 5. So what happens here is sum is 4 over here. So 4 into 10 is 40 plus 5, 45. And you get the sum as 45. Then n will be divided again. So it becomes 4. And when you divide it with, and 4 is greater than 10, so this loop will continue once again. So r will be found out again. So that will be 4. And the sum is 45. 45 into 10 will be 450 plus 4 will be giving you 454, and that would be the sum. Now eventually once you come out of this loop, the temp and the sum will be verified if it is equal or not. If it is equal, you'll be displaying it as sum ln is equal system.out.println is palindrome number. Otherwise it will be displayed as not palindrome. We'll try running this program in this compiler, GDB compiler. Again, when we try, if we have to run this program, this has to be declared as main, and when we try running it, you can see that it is displayed as palindrome. 454 is palindrome. Now I replace it as 459 and I try running it again. The number is not palindrome. So this same program, it can be taken to this next compiler. I try running it over here, and I'm trying to run this program. Not palindrome. 459 is again not palindrome, and if it is 454, it will be executing and it will be a palindrome number. So I hope this program makes it clear, and you'll be given a set of assignment right now which you have to verify it on your system. And this assignment is a bit different. I need to see if you are doing it or not, or if you're copying down or something. So this will be a special assignment, and you can await my mail for further details.